All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. First buyers, first-time buyers webinar. It's the first time we're doing this, and it's a lot of great content for you guys. It's going to be a great event. We got Tristan Purcell with Snap Home Loans here on the line with us. He's going to discuss about the lending side of everything. He's here to do that. Once again, my name is Rich Jackson, Realtor, Real Estate Rich Sales Team. I got member of my team, Mario Pinedo, with the Real Estate Rich Sales Team as well. He's going to be here, answering questions, and got a great event for you guys. Really excited. So we're going to get started into the basically, the home buying process. At the end of this event or this webinar, we're going to do the $100 raffle as promised. So stay tuned for the $100 raffle. Okay. So basically, guys, everyone's always, wants to know how to get started with the home buying process. I'm going to share my screen really quick and just go over some of the topics we're going to go over today. So here is basically, this is the process right here, the 8 steps to buying your home. So the very first step of the buying process, like I tell all my clients, is actually meeting with the loan officer that's going to pre-qualify you for basically a mortgage, a loan, a home loan. That's the very important step right there, because that process right there is going to save you a lot of time when you're out home shopping. And most of all, you can't make an offer on a house unless you have a pre-qualification letter. So with that's why it's very, very urgent that you start, meet with the lender, loan officer, whether it's one that your realtor or someone recommends you, or a loan officer that at your bank. You could definitely go in there and basically get your pre-qualification going. So I have Tristan here on the line as well, and he can go a little bit deeper as far as how important that step is. Before we go on, this is what could happen if you don't. So if you go out looking for houses and you don't have your pre-qualification letter, what usually happens, you'll find the house you love, but you can't make an offer on it because you don't have a pre-qualification letter. So it's best to really be ready and prepared to go once you get that pre-approval. So Tristan, you can kind of chime in a little bit on that if you want. What I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna put on the screen, guys, just a sample of a pre-approval letter. And this is something that you're gonna get from your loan officer once you get pre-qualified. So here we go. So right now on the screen, we have an example of what the pre-approval letter would look like once you do get pre-qualified. And Tristan, I'll let you take it from there as far as how important this letter is in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. So, as Rich mentioned, the first thing to do is talk to a loan officer. Most people, obviously, they can't, they don't have the cash to buy a, $200,000 or $300,000 house. They have to borrow the money, which happens a lot. So, yeah, the first thing to do is talk to a mortgage professional like myself. And I know it can be a scary process, or it sounds scary, but realistically, you want to get with a loan officer and basically go through the loan application, right? Like, I like to go through the loan application together with the client on the phone. That way I can ask questions and they can ask questions as well, and we can get all the information we need. It's sort of like one of those things, the more information you give your loan professional, the better answer that they can give you. And I know it sounds scary, but it's part of the process, right? And a lot of times we meet people that think they're not going to qualify, but they actually do qualify, and it works out to be a great transaction, and they get into a home. So that does happen quite a bit. So a lot of people are just going to have to get over their fears and talk to a loan officer. It's really not that big of a process. Normally we can qualify you within, maybe 10 to 15 minutes over the phone. We do the loan application. We go through your income, we go through your job history, a couple other little things, maybe your address history, what kind of house you want to buy, what your budget is, and then we need to check your credit report, right? And there's a big misconception with checking credit. Everybody thinks, oh my goodness, if you run my credit's just going to drop like a rock, right? And I know that's a scary thought, but it's a myth. It's not really true. So running your credit 1 or 2 or 3 times within a short period of time for a mortgage specifically will not drop your scores. What will drop your scores, and I tell clients this every day, and it's the truth, is if I run your credit on a Monday and then you go to the car dealership and they run your credit on a Tuesday, and then you go to Home Depot and get a credit card and they run your credit on a Wednesday, that's what's going to drop your credit, because the credit companies or the credit, the scoring model, right, of Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they know that you're just trying to go crazy opening all kinds of credit, a house, a car, a credit card, and that's what's going to drop your score. But pulling your credit one time for a mortgage pre-approval is not going to drop your score. So yeah, extremely important. You know, what we do, we go through your income, we'll go through your credit, we'll go through your assets, we'll talk about how much money you have to have for the down payment, the closing costs, and then, you know, normally if everything looks good with the application of the credit, then we'll just request some documentation from you. Basically, W-2, pay stubs, and bank statements if you are just a normal W-2 employee. If you're self-employed, we really start with the taxes, because self-employed people, really all we can go off is the taxes. So it's important to remember that. So, but that's sort of the process.
Yeah, and Tristan, let me ask you, do you recommend, you know, sometimes they say seek at least 2 different loan officers to get a different quotes and things like that, to get different rates? Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and different lenders, not all lenders are the same, right? Not all lenders are equal. They're not equal on rates. They're not equal on loan products. So definitely it is in the home buyer's best interest to talk to a couple people. And we've ran into plenty of people who, you know, one lender said no, but we taken a look at the file and say, hey, look, we have a loan product, or we have the right interest rate where you can qualify. Or a lot of times it comes down to skill, believe it or not. Like, it comes down to, you know, we would definitely look at files where one loan officer at one company has said no, but we look at the file and say, well, you know, did the loan officer at the other company use your overtime income? Did they use your commission income? Did they do the research on your job type and your income so they can give you more? Did they talk about gift funds? Did they talk about a cosigner? You know, did they say, hey, do you have anybody who can cosign for you? So a lot of it does come down to skill and effort. You know, the effort putting into the client that may not have qualified somewhere else, but we can look at the file maybe a little differently and ask the right questions to where, you know, we can pull off a pre-approval and eventually a sale, or eventually a home buyer.
Awesome. Great stuff, Tristan. And once they're qualified, they get issued a letter like this. This is like their golden ticket right here, huh? This is the golden ticket to start looking for homes after that, right?
Correct. Yeah. So this is based on the information. This letter is based on the information that we look at, that the client supplies us. We try to do a lot of research on the client, so when we do issue a pre-approval letter, we know that there's not going to be any problems. So what's going to happen is we're going to issue the pre-approval letter. The client's going to go out, shop for a house, and then once they get into contract, that's when your loan, and we'll package up your loan and we'll send it to a bank, right? And the bank will look at your paperwork and they will be the ones who actually approve your loan. But we do a lot of work up front to make sure that we know 100% that bank's going to approve your loan for the most part.
Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff there. And guys, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat box there. You'll see a chat box below. Feel free to type in any questions. All questions will be answered at the end of the webinar. And that will be followed by the $100 raffle. So stay with us. We got a lot of good content to cover today. We'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible, but most importantly, you guys will walk away very experienced as a buyer, okay? So excellent, Tristan. Last thing about the loan, really quick. I know this is very, a lot of people are still a little confused on the differences between like FHA and conventional.
Sure.
So could you just briefly describe the FHA back compared to like a conventional, in a nutshell, if possible?
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. So I want to start with, you know, most of the time with a conventional or an FHA loan, you're going to pay some sort of mortgage insurance if you don't put down 20%, right? I just like to preface that. And mortgage insurance basically insures the bank of a default, right? So unless you're putting down 20% on a conventional loan, you're going to pay some sort of mortgage insurance. The main difference between, from my perspective, FHA and conventional loans is the borrower's FICO scores, right? So normally speaking, FHA loans will give better interest rates and mortgage insurance rates at lower FICO scores. So basically any client who's probably below a 700 FICO score, we're probably going to put them into an FHA loan because it's going to be the lowest payment for them. And if you do have a higher FICO score, most of the time, 740 and above will put you into a conventional loan because that's going to be the best interest rate for you. So, and as funny as it is, FHA loans a lot of the times carry lower interest rates than conventional loans. So it's really, scenario by scenario, right? And it's talking to your loan officer about which product is best for you, what's going to be the best rate, what's going to be the best underwriting for your loan, and the best mortgage insurance rate. So it's really a conversation to have with your loan officer. The main differences are, I would say on a whole, if you have a lower FICO score, the FHA loan is going to be the best loan for you, right? If you have a higher FICO score, the conventional loan is going to be the best loan for you. I like to say too, if you're a veteran, the VA loan is going to be probably the best loan for you because the VA loans don't carry any monthly mortgage insurance, and they're very low rates, which is great. So great opportunity for veterans to get in houses.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tristan, man. And once you guys are all pre-qualified and you're done with Tristan, now it's the fun part. You get to start looking for the perfect home for yourself. And before we go on, I just want to say we have Carlos Rosario here with us as well. He's with Blueprint Home Inspections, and he's going to discuss like how important it is to get a home inspection while you're in escrow. But we'll get to Carlos shortly. Just want to let you know that he's on the line. So right after you're dealing with someone like Tristan, who's going to take care of you, give you a great interest rate, or the loan, the lender you choose to work with, the next step of the buying process is the home search. This is when it gets kind of interesting. Let me pull up a slide right here for you guys really quick. Let me share my screen.
I do have a quick question for Tristan too.
Sure.
Tristan,
Yes, sir.
when you're looking for a home, you want to buy a new home, but you're selling a home. How does that work as far as getting a pre-approval?
So yeah, that's when talking to a loan officer or mortgage professional is extremely important because you are selling your home, right? So the last thing that we want, as loan officers, and the last thing that you guys want as realtors is someone to sell their home and then be homeless, right? So it's extremely important to talk to your loan officer about what you want to do, right? And a lot of people, most people will sell their home and then buy a new one. So it's extremely important that we go through the entire process, just as I mentioned before, checking the income, checking your assets. Okay, how much are you going to make from the sale of your current home? And how much are you going to put into the new home, right? Are you going to need more money? Are you okay with coming in with less money? So it's extremely important to talk to any mortgage professional before you list your house, because a lot of people might find they qualified for the house that they live in. Maybe it was years ago, right? Maybe it was years ago, and now they want to upgrade, but they may find that they can't upgrade because maybe prices have gone up, right? Maybe their income has dropped. There's a lot of reasons why they may not be able to afford the house that they want after they sell. So that's why it's extremely important to talk to a loan officer and get those numbers.
Very important. Very important.
The last thing you want to do is end up homeless.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And once all the financing is secured and you have the loan ready to go, you're qualified for a certain amount, that's when you meet with your realtor. Whether you have one before you meet with a loan officer or after, either way. But your realtor is going to come and play and be very helpful and really helping you find the home that's going to work with you and your family or whoever's looking to buy a home. I would suggest the way we like to do it here, we like to meet with the buyers before, just to get a lot of more information as far as the criteria, exactly what they're looking for, because that way it'll definitely help us find you exactly what the perfect home for you. At the same time, of course, you'll be on a site like this right here on the screen looking for homes or Zillow. There's numerous websites out there that you'll be looking for your home. And from there, we're off to the races, off to looking at different houses, and hopefully we can find the house that works for you. And then once you find the house is when it really gets interesting from there. Mario, did you have anything to chime in as far as the home search and working with buyers?
Yeah, one of the things I like to ask right off the bat is location. Location is going to determine quite a few different things about what you're looking for. So that's very important. If you're set on a location, let your realtor know, let us know. because that's going to help us kind of figure out exactly where we want to pinpoint. That's a big question that I ask.
Yeah. And you're kind of like working with a team with your realtor. That's the idea. You know, you guys are like partnership, you know, looking for the perfect home for you, going out, making offers. Just know, you know, it can be a little bit competitive out there. So, you know, you just don't want to get too frustrated too soon. It may take you a week to find that home, or it can make you, it can take you 6 months. It just really depends on, you know, the type of home you're looking for, how picky the buyer is, or what's available. And most importantly, in this market, if you know, how many other offers are out there, and as far as the competition. So it's good to really have a good plan, a strategy with your realtor to make sure you get your offer is the strongest as possible, is as strong as it could be. That way you can compete with the other offers. So after the home search, after you made the offer, say you find the perfect home, is everything you love, offer is accepted, then then everything goes from there. Let me pull up another slide for you just really quick.
Hey, Rich, can I chime in on something real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
So I think it's important for home buyers to know if they're serious about buying a house and getting into a house quickly. We're talking maybe a month or maybe 2 months, you know, 30 to 60 days from the time, you know, we pre-approve them. I think it's important for home buyers to know you really have to treat it like a second job, you know, because it's so competitive out there that you really have to be on your toes all the time, you know, looking at properties when you can. You know, I talk to my clients and I say, hey, look, tell everybody in your circle, right? Tell your boss, your employees, your family, your friends that, hey, you're going to be looking for a house to buy, and you need all their support, right? And you know, you'll have to be looking online and fielding emails and taking a look at night. So I think that's really important to hone in on is really treating it, if you're serious, really treating it like a second job.
Oh, definitely. You got to be on it. And you got to be ready to go see the home that you love, like the very next day. I mean, it's that urgent. You know, you might be at work and you're browsing and you're like, oh, this is it. Got to call the realtor. Hey, can we go see 123 Main Street tomorrow? Because again, if you wait a few days, sure enough, that 123 Main Street was most likely going to be gone by the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So got to be on top of it, especially in this market today. Be proactive. You got to be proactive. So this slide right here is just a little picture. This is pretty much a happy family got their offer accepted. It's not like it does. You know, it is like a little win. There's little wins throughout the process, right? So you know, you might have made several offers. You got denied or rejected. And when you finally find the perfect house, you get accepted. It's time to kind of celebrate, you know, because that was a good obstacle that you overcame. You got past it. And now, basically, you're going to go into the escrow period. And for those that do not know, the escrow period is basically just the time that basically it just facilitates the sale of the home. So a lot of things are going on at that time. You're dealing with escrow, the title company, and we're going to get into that a little bit later, but that's just a time frame while your property is during the sale of the property. Okay, so we're going to keep going on. Right after that, oh, you know what? I have to back up really quick. Let me go back to this slide really quick because I want to show you guys exactly kind of what the offer would look like. Just so you can kind of be familiar when you do start submitting offers for property. Your realtor is going to put together what is called a real estate purchase agreement. And this is just a snapshot of kind of what it would look like. There's definitely more pages than this. It's just, I just took the main pages. So right here is basically at the top, it's going to, of course, the date. It's going to have the address of the house or property, the city, the price, and your realtor will send this to you when you do start making offers. So this is just so you can have an idea what it would look like, all right? The close of escrow will be whenever, or you can put how many days you're going to close. What we're going to get into next is called the earnest money deposit or the initial deposit. This is very important, guys. So when you make an offer on a house, you have to put, of course, you're going to have your down payment and your closing cost. But when you first make the offer, you're going to have to put an initial deposit or earnest money deposit down in this little area here. And what that is just a small portion of your, I guess, your down payment or closing, cost. It's just a small portion just to show the seller that you as a buyer are very serious about buying the house. So this number is, usually about 1% of the actual purchase price, or 0.5%, just depends. So you can put like maybe 1,500 here. And again, whatever you put in this box as far as the deposit, it will go towards your closing cost at the end once you close. So it's not for nothing. It will go towards your closing. And also this amount, say it's 1,500, upon acceptance of your home, of the offer, that $1,500 check or cashier's check is to be sent to the title company that your escrow is being held at. So, for example, if once your offer is accepted, you're like day one of escrow, and say the escrow is with Chicago Title. Within the next couple days, 2 or 3 days, you're going to go to Chicago Title or give the check to your realtor, but it needs to go to the title company and they're going to hold it. And just make sure the finances are available, because they most likely will cash the check within a week or two. But again, it will go towards your closing at the very end of the sale. So just keep that in mind. Moving on down here, these are a couple things. So here, this box, FHA, VA, depending on what type of loan you have, which Tristan already explained. And at the bottom is going to be pretty much the total of the sales price of what you're gonna of the house. So that's just a quick little snapshot of what it looks like as far as the offer goes. So we're going to move on. We did acceptance. We talked about earnest money. And once you're in escrow, guys, let's go back. Keep in mind, you're going to have the first 17 days while you're in escrow to do all of your inspections. So that's set aside for the buyers to do their home inspection, your termite inspection, yeah, basically those are the two main ones. If you want a roofer to go out to double check the roof, or a plumber to check plumbing, at that time is pretty much for you to check the whole property out to make sure it's safe and sound, and there's not any other issues with the property. And with that said, I'm going to bring in Carlos Rosario, because he actually is a home inspector, and he's here to tell us how important it is for you guys as a buyer to get a home inspection within that first 17 days of your accepted offer. So, hey, Carlos, welcome. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. How you doing?
Cool. Tristan, man, good to see you, buddy. Mario, good to see you over there, man. I apologize for my background. I'm working on my car over here, and so I just had to be here. I actually just got off work, 30 minutes before this was all going down, so I just kind of rushed over here. I wanted to make sure I was a part of this and kind of give my feedback and my input.
Definitely.
Yeah, the home inspection, it's not as important as some of these other guys that are sitting here. But a home inspection can be really important, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. If you're looking to buy a house, you find a house, put an offer, you're getting ready to start doing your inspections. What we do is we go in before you actually purchase the home, and we look at the home from top to bottom. So we look at the roof, we get in your attic, we look at your framing, we look at your HVAC ductwork, we look at your HVAC unit, your heating and cooling, all your appliances, your plumbing, your foundation. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a home that even the current homeowner doesn't even know about. So we want to bring some of those issues or some of those defects to light before you buy a house. So when you're going to looking to buy a new car or used car, you want to test drive it. You want to see how it feels around you. You want to see how it turns. You want to check the lights. You want to check if it fits your family. So the same thing with the home inspection. What we do is we go in there and we give you the most information that we can possible about the home before you buy it. Because the last thing you want to do is, put all the money that you saved into a home and put all this earnest money down and insurance and all this stuff. And then when you move in, you have to get a new air conditioning unit, which could be, you know, $6,000–7,000. So our job is to go in there, check all these items so that we are fully aware of everything that's in the home, and fully aware of everything that's, you know, that you're getting in the home in its current condition.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, good stuff. Oh, just, you know, I forgot to add too, guys, just keep in mind, typically buyers usually cover the cost of the home inspection, at least, and it's market to market, but in our market, typically the buyers cover the home inspection cost and the termite inspection cost. From my experience, termite inspections run about $75, and the termite inspector will go in, just basically look for any signs of termite, any dry rot, and any other items as well. But mainly, if there's any, you know, termites, active termites or non-active termite in the property. And as far as home inspections, they can vary as well. Different price points, but
yeah. So just let me chime in real quick on that. So usually a general home inspection depends on the square footage and how old the home is. So generally it could be anywhere from, you know, $280 to, you know, $480, depending on the square footage and if it has a pool or a shop or, you know, a separate detached structure or whatever. So all of those things come into play. Now, as far as the termite. Termites are very important to get, especially if the home is a little bit older and if it has a crawl space or has a sub foundation. So those are super important because the house is built on wood, and I don't know if you guys know anything about termites. Termites love wood. Also too, with the home inspection, we also offer various types of inspections. We offer plumbing lateral scopes, so we can run a camera down your plumbing line so we can see what they look like, see if they're cracked, see if they're corroded, see if they're leaking underground. We also do infrared scanning of the home so we can find out if there's any moisture detection in the walls or in the roof coming down. We also offer well inspections, septic inspections. So if your house is out in the country, we can, you know, offer some of those services to check some of those items too as well. There's just a plethora of different inspections that we offer that are tailored to your home and tailored to your needs. So if you're super concerned about, you know, the pool, we offer the pool inspection. So there's a bunch of different inspections that we offer to make sure that you're satisfied with the home that you're buying.
Awesome. That's great, man.
No, I was just going to say, have you ever saved anyone from buying a bad house?
So it's not really my job to tell you to buy it or not to buy it. My job is basically to present this information to you, and then you kind of make a sound decision on that, you know, buying the home based on that information. And I have more than a few times gone back and done another inspection on a separate home that they passed on the first one. It had too many issues. We came back on a second home, and it's like night and day. And they're like, "Wow, thank you for saving us from that dump or whatever we were going to buy over there that would have cost us $10,000–$20,000 after we moved in. This one is more move-in ready. You know, we appreciate it, and it cost you, you know, a couple $100 versus, you know, more than a couple $1,000. So yeah, my job is not to tell you whether or not to buy the home. My job is to give you the most information, and hopefully with all that information, you can make a sound decision.
Nice. Awesome. That's good stuff there. Hey, Carlos, you going to hang around for a little bit? Because I was going to
for sure.
have you guys give your contact information at the end of this. You know, you guys can let everybody know how to reach you if they need. Great information, guys. So that is very, very key. He said it wasn't as important, but I think it is as important because, again, that's going to let you know exactly what the condition of the house is that you're going to be living there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You want to make sure that you know it's going to hold up, or, you know, if there's issues, you know what they are, you know how to address them. And from there, man, right after your inspections are completed, like I said, within the first 17 days, you and your realtor, you guys going to meet or talk and discuss basically the reports that you get and to see what the main concerns of the house is, you know. So you guys will get together, create a list of items that you're going to request the seller to probably fix. So this stage is, I like to call it the second round of negotiations per se, because what you're doing is after your inspections, you're presenting the seller all the items that you feel that you would like the seller to fix give you a credit for, or reduce the purchase price to a certain amount. So it's basically whatever you guys can kind of come to terms with and agree on. But that is like kind of the second round of negotiations. And once you get past that point, then it's kind of downhill, I would say, except for the appraisal. They have the appraisal, though. That's the next step as well. So let me get into this. Let me show you another slide real quick. But yeah, like I said, you'll present what is called a request for repairs right after all your inspections are completed on the home. And right during that within the first 2 weeks, the loan officer is going to order an appraisal for the house, an appraiser to come to the house and to pretty much make sure it's worth what the price that you offered, and the price that the house you offered it for. So say the house was the house is $250,000, and you're in escrow at $250,000. An appraiser's job is to go out, look at the home, just to make sure it compares equally to the other homes similar that sold for around the same purchase price, to make sure that it's the right value. Now, at any time the appraisal, they feel like the value is not what you're in contract with, then because the bank is only going to loan you whatever the appraised value of the home is. So say you're in contract for $250,000, the appraiser goes to the home, do their appraisal, and then they come back and report that actually the value is really $245,000. So now the bank or lender, they're only going to loan that amount, $245,000. So basically, you have to go back to the seller, and just they'll know anyway. Your agent will talk to the other agent to see if you can just sell it at $245,000, the true value of the home from there. That way, you're not overpaying for a house. You know that the value is the value. And sometimes, there's some negotiating going on then. If you got a really hard-nosed seller who wants to stick with his price, $250,000, this is when you got to have a really good realtor, and hopefully they can negotiate really well on your behalf, and make sure that that the sale or it doesn't fall through or not work over that $5,000 amount, to where you guys can come to terms. If you have to meet in the middle, that's something you have to discuss. But ultimately, if anything over $245,000 is going to come out of your pocket as a buyer. Just keep in mind. So the lender is only going to loan the appraised value. Anything over that is going to come out of your pocket. So just if you really want the home and the seller is really not budging, hopefully you have extra funds or finances somewhere, or you can borrow to cover the difference of the appraised value. So here's a little picture of appraiser going out.
I was just going to say,
go ahead, Mario.
So, and that does only apply to a loan. If you're doing a cash deal, you don't need the appraisal, right?
Exactly.
It's like the wild, wild west, basically. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Very good point, Mario. Yeah. So he was saying, basically, yeah, you don't really need an appraisal if you're paying cash. So cash you can kind of avoid certain things like that. Let's see. Anyone else? You guys that are on, feel free to type in any of your questions you have right in the chat box. We're happy to answer them as we go on. We're kind of approaching towards the end of the buying process. So we started with the pre-approval, to the home search, looking for the home, to the offer, making your offer acceptance. We talked about the earnest money deposit. Upon acceptance, the small little bit of money that will go towards closing. We've talked about home inspections and how important that is, and the appraisal. Actually, Tristan, you could probably chime in a little bit about the appraisal, because that is another expense on the buyer that some may not be aware of.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the only fee with the lender that you usually pay up front. So they're about $500 for a standard appraisal, conventional or FHA. VA appraisals run about $600. VA appraisals, you'll normally pay those at the end of the transaction through the closing costs, but FHA conventional, just be prepared to pay those up front, right? And those come off your closing costs, right? So if we do disclose a $500 appraisal fee, once you pay for it, it'll come off your closing costs. So yeah, that's the only fee you really have to pay with a lender up front. And then I know on the realtor side, there can be some inspections and things like that can also they also have to pay for it at some point. So
Gotcha. Awesome. Good. So basically, oh, go ahead. Oh, I think we have a question. Okay, well, I might as well, maybe you can answer this, Tristan. What will happen if the appraised value is not enough? Okay, I think I kind of touched on that. Yeah, if the appraised value is not enough, pretty much what I kind of, did you?
Yeah, if the appraised value is not enough from a lending point of view, and also real estate point of view, I mean, it's open to negotiation, right? Obviously, the sellers, if they agree, they could come down to the appraised value, but if they don't, then there has to be more. There can be more negotiations, but ultimately, if there is no negotiation or they can't come to an agreement, then the buyer would have to come in with the money, right? The extra money that it would take to close the transaction. Now, the buyer, if the appraisal comes in low, the buyer is well within their right to walk away from the transaction, try to buy another house. So
yeah,
it's sort of part of that. So everything's sort of off the table at that point, and the negotiations can start.
And you get your deposit back too, right, Tristan?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and that goes for anything with the transaction, within the contingency period, right? As you guys know, if Carlos goes out, the home inspector, and he finds out that there's a massive plumbing issue or something like that, that's $20,000 fix, then basically no one would want to buy this house. And that's definitely grounds for canceling the transaction, and the buyer would get their deposit back. That's correct.
Sure. And I'm glad you guys touched on that, because I really didn't cover the actual contingency. So I'll cover that, contingencies and how that works, for those that don't know. So like I had mentioned, you got the first 17 days to do all your inspections. After that's over with and you guys, come to an agreement, and everything looks good and you're happy with everything, we move on to the next phase. But before you do that, what you will have to do is remove what is called contingencies, the buyer inspection contingency. So basically, this is just signing off saying we inspected the home, we still love the home, it's still going to work, we're ready to move forward to the next step. And so once you sign the contingency removal, basically you can't go back and use that as a reason that you don't want to say. After you can't come back and say, oh, well, we don't want the house because we don't like it, or there's some issues with it, because you've already passed that point per se. So after the 17 days, that's why you get so much time to review the disclosures, which will be sent from the seller. So the seller will send you basically forms letting you know what they know about the home, whether they made repairs, any issues with the house. As far as they know, they're going to send you information for you to review. But again, after you have that time within the 17 days to review the paperwork and to do all your inspections and to decide if the house is going to be right for you. Once you remove the contingencies, we go on to the loan and appraisal contingency. So once the appraised value comes in, say it appraises at the right price, and we have to wait for the loan approval. Once we get loan approval, Tristan's like, hey, the loan is finally approved, you're good to go. Then that's when we'll sign off and remove the loan and appraisal contingency. And once we do that, that's saying you're going full steam ahead, you're not backing down, you're pretty much locked into the home at that point, per se. The only thing is, once you sign off the contingencies at both times, so you done the buyer's inspection contingency, signed off, go to the loan and appraisal. Once that's approved, you sign off on that. Now, if you decide last minute to back out, you're like, I just don't want to buy the house anymore. You could be very at risk of losing your earnest money deposit, your initial deposit, like we talked about, like the $1,500 amount we said. You could potentially lose that once you've signed off on all your contingencies. So just make sure you have a good communication with the realtor. I'm sure they will definitely keep you in the loop of the contingency time frames, because those are very important, and you don't want to lose your initial deposit at all. That's anything you want to do.
No, okay. That's perfect.
But so just keep that in mind. Those are 2 key points. So after the loan and appraisal contingencies removed, we're looking towards closing. Pretty much we're going to the final stages. Tristan, is there anything significant you want to talk about as far as final loan approval? Because pretty much down to the wire of their last contingency once that's approved?
Yeah, so I mean, what you want to do is obviously get your lender, once you get into contract, get your lender all the documentation that they request, right? There'll be updates. They'll want updated pay stubs, updated bank statements. They'll want to see your earnest money deposit, where it's coming from. One little tip for the earnest money deposit is, make sure that it's coming from your bank account and that we can source the money that's being used, right? A lot of times, if there's large cash deposits into your bank account, we can't necessarily source those cash deposits, and we won't be able to use that money for the purchase of the house. So it's really important that a lot of people know that. So if you have mattress money or whatever it is, remember that money's got to be in the bank, and we can't use it if there's large deposits on your bank statement. But in terms of final approval, what you really want to do is have the loan underwritten within the first, I'd say 10 days of the transaction, 10 days to 2 weeks of the transaction. And then you want to be able to have your final loan approval probably on a 30-day transaction, at least by day 21 or 25, right? Because probably day 21, because it's going to take, some time to get your final loan docs out, work the final numbers on the loan. And then also, if there's any changes to the contract too, if there's any addendums or if there's any price changes, if there's any requests for repairs, things like that, it's really important to, make sure that all the parties involved know, right? The escrow company, the title company, your loan officer, and the underwriter, just so they can make those appropriate changes, at the last minute, right? If it's done at the last minute, it can slow things down. So that's kind of important to note. Last minute price changes, things like that, can slow things down. So the more information that we can give up front, that we can give the bank up front, the smoother the transaction is going to be.
Awesome. And so that brings us pretty much, once we're past that stage, the appraisal and loan approval, basically we're at the last final stretch, and so what happens about 3 days or so before the actual close, you and your realtor are actually going to go back to the home one more time and do what is called a final walkthrough. And at this point, you're basically just there to make sure the house is in the same condition as it was when you first saw it. It'll be terrible to go back to the house, and it's happened. People go back to the house for the final walkthrough, and there's a miscellaneous hole in the wall, or there's like something, there's like you're running the faucet and now it's leaking. You're like, wait a minute. And also, that's a perfect time where you're going to check to see if all the repairs that you had requested from the request for repair were fixed. So the realtor should go through each item that you requested the seller to fix initially, to make sure they were done. Make sure all the repairs are done, and everything is safe and sound and good to go. And once you're done with the final walkthrough, you're pretty much gonna close within a day or two. It's pretty much almost time to get the keys.
Yeah.
That's when the celebration pretty much happens. And is there anything else you want to chime on the close? Yeah.
No, that was it. You mentioned also doing a second inspection with your realtor. Another thing too is your home inspector can do a second inspection if you do have major requests for repair.
Sure.
Significant items, not like a loose faucet or something like that, but
right.
Yeah, maybe something major like strapping in the water heater or something like that. If you want to get that re-inspected.
Yeah.
Like
for sure. Yeah, we do that. We offer re-inspections. Usually they're on big ticket items or items that you can't get to per se when you're doing your final walkthrough, such as the roof or your HVAC unit or something in the attic that they need to repair. So just today I was coming from a re-inspection because they repaired the items, but they didn't do it correctly. So I actually had to go back a second time and make sure that they did it correctly. So that way when you move in, there's no surprises. There's no safety issues when you move in.
Definitely. Good stuff. Yeah. And as you guys can see on the screen, this is the happy family, and this is time to celebrate once you close on your house, your brand new home. It's just a beautiful thing. I mean, the whole process, guys, is pretty emotional. You're going to experience various different emotions at times, from excitement to anxiety to anger to frustration to just just a realm of different emotions. But ultimately, us as realtors, we're here to make the process as smooth as possible, and basically just to kind of avoid and any things that we could help with, any issues that may happen. We could foresee that, to try to prevent them before, and just being proactive in the whole process to make it a smooth transaction for our clients. Anything else you want to chime in on the?
No, I'm just gonna say closing, bringing the keys. That's the best part of the whole thing.
It is, and it's so awesome to be a homeowner. I mean, this is home ownership. I mean, this is the true way to generate wealth for your whole family. I mean, I know in my experience, I mean, I've never generated as much money as I ever had, as real estate has done, like having homes before and selling them. I mean, it's just, it's a beautiful thing to have, and you can live in the home, and a lot of people get caught up, with the first home as far as trying to find the perfect home. I would just say, find a good, nice, safe home, safe area for your house, for your family. It doesn't have to be like your all-time dream home per se. It can be a nice home, but the idea, especially with rates being so low, is to really just get you in the home, nice, just something you would be happy with. Of course, something you're comfortable with, but something that's nice. Get into the home, great deal. You could stay there a couple years or whatever. But what's going to happen is you'll find out, you're going to have multiple options in a few years. As your house appreciates in value, now you have equity. Now you have options. Now you can either, if you want to sell later down the road, you can sell and move up to a bigger home, and you'll have a bigger down payment because you'll make money off the sale. If you're in a better position in 5 years to where you don't have to sell, you can keep it as an investment house. So now you have an investment property and a new home. And if it comes down to it, if you want to stay there, you still have that equity to help out with any upgrades down the line. If you want to do any work to the home, if you want to, kids are going to college or whatever, you have that equity in your home to access. It just really, really gives you more options, and it's a beautiful thing to have your own property and own house.
Well,
it's a blessing.
Whole another conversation, but so many tax benefits too to owning a home.
Definitely.
And definitely going to sell your home and buying a new one, there's a tax benefit to that as well. So just so many benefits to own.
Very, very, very. So I guess we're going to conclude the webinar at that point, guys. I thank everyone for joining in. Again, if you haven't typed in your name in the chat, or if you haven't registered previously, please put your name in there so we can do the raffle and your name will be in there. At this point, what do we have? Oh, how about, I guess, Rosario, you can start, telling people how to reach you, your contact information. They want to, use your service.
I'm trying to type it in all right now, so give me a second. But yeah, you can visit us on the web. It's Blueprint homeinspections.net. We're all over Facebook and Instagram. You can see, a lot of times when we do our inspections, it's still an iffy, what's going to happen. But what we like to do is we like to, when, like Mario and yourself, when the homeowners get the keys, it's an exciting moment. So we like to try to be there when they hand over the keys and take pictures and just kind of be a part of that, because we're reassuring them that the house is safe and that they're going to have fun and they made a great decision. So we try to be a part of those key giving, and so it's an emotional moment. I know when I bought my first house, my kids were super small, and my kids were like, "Hey, Dad, carry Mom over the threshold," and I was like, "There's no threshold." So I was like, "Oh, the door threshold." So we opened the front door and I carried her inside, and so it was like a big deal for us when our first home. And obviously that house is long gone, and we did make a good chunk of change off that money off of that house moving forward, and we just kind of keep building our wealth off of that home right there. So it's kind of a cool deal.
Really
but yeah, I mean, you can look us up. We're blueprinthomeinspections.net. Check out our website. You can schedule stuff online. You can see all the services that we offer online too as well. Usually the real estate agent schedules all those inspections and things like that. So definitely get with Mario and some other people to help you schedule those. But if you want to like look us up on the web, check us out on Google. Look us up. You won't find any blemishes on us because we go above and beyond because we work for you. We work for the buyer to make sure that you're taken care of. And our reviews, our online, everything, our everything that is about us shows that. And so look us up and compare us to anybody you want. And so we're very confident in what we do and how we approach each one of these home buyers for sure. So I'm going to type in my information, but yeah, this good stuff right here for you guys.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Carlos, man. You've been a big,
You're welcome.
Big information, a lot of information there, a lot of good stuff. You really educated a lot of people on the inspections. And Tristan Purcell, you want to give everybody some information on how to contact you for your loan approval?
Yeah, definitely. So, we're a local mortgage broker. We have an office here in Fresno. We have a team of probably about 10 people who work in our office, 6 loan officers and 4 support staff. So, we have a good group of people. So you can look us up on snaphomeloans.com. That's snap, like snap your fingers, homeloans.com. We do a lot of things digitally. So if you are too busy to actually come into the office, we do a lot of apps online. We do a lot of apps over the phone. We do a lot of things via email and text message and secure document uploads and things like that. So I know a lot of people, they just don't have time now. And so they're like, hey, look, if I get this done, remotely, that's all the best. Right. And
Sure.
so, look us up, snaphomeloans.com. I have another website that we use. It's called letsstoprenting.com. So you can look us up there at letsstoprenting.com and get some more information about buying a home and obviously contact us through that site. And you can look us up on Google. Just Google snaphomeloans.com. We have excellent 5-star reviews on Google. And then, a lot of times we do a lot via text message and email and phone. And so we don't get to meet our clients in person usually during the transaction. But what we do like to do is have them come to our office and sign loan docs in our office with the notary. That way we can answer questions for the clients. We can go over the numbers and we can make sure that the final part, at least for the mortgage, in terms of them signing their final loan documents, goes smoothly, and then we get to meet with the client as well, and it's a great time. It's a really great time that a lot of these people never thought they'd get a mortgage, and so I just
want to touch on Tristan, what he's saying. It's kind of important to have a local guy, someone you can call, someone you can text, someone you can go down to their office. I know Tristan's office is here in Fresno. It's kind of important because you need to have that communication. You need to have that quick response. When something's going awry with the loan or whatever, you need to have somebody who you can talk to answer questions quickly. And I know Tristan and his team offer that because they're local. So it's kind of important to get a local guy to help you guys out. It's really important for sure.
Yeah, hey, Carl, I'm glad you brought that up. And the key word you guys are talking about in this is team. Is very important. So you kind of, as a buyer, you want to be surrounded with a good team, a team including the real estate agent, the lender, the home inspector, and title officer. You want to choose someone that really has, has a group of people around them that are really on top of it, because this business, during escrow, there's a lot of moving parts going on. A lot of things can get, lost under the rug or whatever per se, but that's why it's very important to have a great team that works together cohesively and to make sure that you're getting the best service possible out of that team, in which we definitely provide. And like I said, whether it's me and our team or whoever you decide to work with, just make sure they are, on point and really can work together. So. But man, thanks again, guys. You guys been a blessing for showing up and really helping out, educate everyone. So you guys know how to reach us. If you ever looking for a home, Real Estate Rich Sales Team, we're here to help. We love what we do. Mario is an awesome buyer. He helps a lot of buyers. I work with buyers, sellers. We just got a great team. So feel free, if you have any additional questions, contact us after. All right, guys. So I guess it's the time for the grand finale, right? Got to do the $100 raffle, right? Yeah, this is the time. Right. So thanks everyone for tuning in. This will be recorded, so if you miss it, don't worry. You can see it again but you can't get this money again.
That's right.
So let's shake it up. We got the names in the hat right here. You know, I like the name of this hat, right? Check it out. Before we choose, it's kind of a coincidence. The name of the hat says win-win on it. I don't know if you can see that. Which is a little, you know, so it's a winning hat. How about that? Let's see who this lucky $100 winner is for joining in. And I'll let Mario call it out. Who got the $100 cash?
Ruby Villarreal.
Ruby Villarreal. Ruby Villarreal. So, hey, Ruby, if you're out there, congratulations. I will be reaching out to you. I have your email address because you did put it into the registration form. Well, congrats again. And thanks to everyone else. You guys are all winners because you're better. You're educated on the buying process. You're probably one step ahead of any other buyer that's not too familiar with it. But again, reach out anytime you have questions. 559-721-4313. Be happy to help you guys. And you guys have a blessed day.